Welcome to the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast, presented by 13 Fishing Canada. Make your own luck. We are here to talk everything fishing with special guests from across the industry. Now, here is your hosts, Logan Lewis and Jesse Cadron.
We are back, episode 92, the spring send-off. This one might have been better time to be maybe a week ago, right before the season started here in the Southern Zone. But nonetheless, you got myself, Logan Lewis, and my co-host, Jesse Cadron here. And we're going to talk about some spring stuff. But before we get into that, and our sponsors and everything, kind of want to give an overview of what we're doing. But before I do that, I'll say, Jesse, how are you? Haven't talked to you in a bit.
I'm doing good, Logan. Yeah, it feels like it's been over a month since I've talked to you, but I guess we just had a busy couple of weeks. But no, I'm good. I'm just waiting for this wind to die down so I can get the kayak out and do some fishing.
Yeah, it was nasty windy down here today too.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah. So I think let's hop quick into the sponsors here, and then I want to give an overview of kind of everything we're going to talk about. Don't have a guest for this episode, where we're going to cover a ton of spring fishing topics, all the way from off the water to on the water, tactics to use, stuff like that. So obviously that's stuff like that counter one for this episode if Jesse's keeping track. But
I just knocked it down.
Yeah, there you go. That's number one. So first off, big thank you to the presenting sponsor, 13 Fishing, of the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast. You can use the code Weekend Warriors, that's WKND Warriors, to save yourself 15% off the entire Rapala Canada website. I know I picked up myself some more Crush City stuff that I plan to use in some upcoming tournaments here, which is kind of a topic we'll be talking about a bit later. I really like the plastics for in the spring. I know it's pretty common, especially for walleye, to kind of go right to that leech, whether it's under a slip bobber or on a jig or on a Lindy rig. But I like to cover a lot of water quick on certain bodies of water, and that's where that Crush City stuff is going to come in very handy, paired with my new live scope setup on the front of the boat that I'll be running this year. I think that's kind of it for 13 Fishing. You have anything there, Jesse?
I totally agree with you on running artificials in the spring. That's something you can search, cover a ton of water, get down to bottom where those fish are. Because like we were talking earlier, sometimes these fish, they're not really in a feeding mood, and you almost just have to drop it in their face and annoy them a little bit to get a bite. So yeah, that artificial with a heavy moon eye jig head gets you down there and can be a killer combo.
There you go. And one last thing on that too, actually, if we're transitioning off the walleye side of things for those soft plastics, they've also got new sizes in some of the Crush City line, which I picked up a couple of those, and they look awesome for jigging Lakers or for tossing in shallow for pike as well. So that's definitely something to check out there. But nice. That's all for 13 Fishing. Thank you again for being the presenting sponsor of the podcast. On to the next one, Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. Actually just picked up my membership, my dad's and my cousin's, all today, and put in our registration form and fees for the Buffalo Pound Walleye tournament there. So definitely a great organization. Very happy to have them on here. And I think Jesse wanted to touch on the raffle, because this episode will go out in time for that, right?
That's right. Yeah. So there's still, if you haven't listened to our last episode, there is still a stellar raffle draw going on that includes a 14-foot StarCraft boat with a 20-horse Mercury on it, I think. I don't have that page loaded up right now, but if you go onto their website, it's swf.sk.ca. FWF.sk.ca, and there's a big sign right there that says purchase tickets. You click on that, all the information is there. Plus, they're doing a 50-50, and currently, as of right now, May 7th, the jackpot is up to $18,000 on the 50-50. And the deadline for both the 50-50 and the raffle is May 13th. So by the time this comes out, you'll have just a few more days to go and purchase some tickets going to a good cause.
Yeah. Who needs, as you mentioned before recording, who needs the Edmonton Oilers 50-50 when you can join in on the SWF one?
That's right.
About the same value, right?
Yeah, 3 million, 18,000. Yeah, about the same.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's I guess that's one thing we should say too. Happy opener. We're a little bit late to that, but happy opener to the southern zone of Saskatchewan here. And then is Central the 15th?
You betcha. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be exciting. I know my dad is itching. He was wanted to hook up to his boat today actually. And just to be ready, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know when that day is going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that pretty well wraps it up for the sponsors. Not a sponsor of the show, but wearing my new stock fishing gear hat, scoping, not hoping. So I wanted to mention that as well for people who are watching the podcast. That's where this one came from. It'll be my official tournament hat, I think, for this year. So I was telling Travis that I think this is going to be the one that's going to bring the luck. So
yeah, looks sharp.
Excited.
I like it.
Yeah, I saw it on the giveaway there, Ron, and I was like, I'm just going to buy one. I just want it.
Yeah,
I want it right now. So yeah, no, there we go. So I think kind of quick agenda for this episode. We're going to be talking about Jesse's trip to Lac La Marte, ice fishing trip, working trip, in quotations, working trip. I'm sure you guys did some work there, right? So we're gonna get into that, and then after that, I think that was the last time we talked. You were about to go on that trip, right?
Yeah, it was just like a couple days prior, 2 days prior.
Right. Yeah, we're at because we recorded. Then you drove after that night. So yeah. We've got that. Then we're going to head into some early spring things to do, whether you have a boat, just kind of getting ready for spring. I know we're already past the opener here, so I'm sure lots of people have done that already, but it might jog your memory for some things to do before we get too deep into the season. And then we're going to get into some early spring fishing for walleye, pike, carp, and trout. So 4 topics there, kind of where you should be looking, what you should be doing, what you should be using, all that. And then just a couple little notes to wrap things up here. So I think we'll hop right into it right now. How was your trip?
It went pretty good. As you would know, being in the north, it's plans change and things are unexpected. I mean, going up there, we were told that we would have access to 2 working snowmobiles in Wati.
Working is the keyword.
Yeah, and available is also a keyword. So we, even on our way up there, like a day prior to us showing up, we still weren't really certain on what was going to be waiting for us. So we get there and it's myself, Colby Hales, and Zach Brown. So 3 of us, and John Boy is waiting for us in Wati, who is a guide up at Lac La Marte and good guy. Just a good guy. Yeah, you know him well. And then John Tinquey. And so they have themselves, their 2 snowmobiles, and 2 great big, 12-foot fiberglass pull-behind sleighs. I've never seen them that big before. They were huge, like a bathtub. You could darn near put a 5-horse motor on the back of them, which was good. But so now there's 5 of us, 2 snowmobiles, and all of our winter gear and all our fishing gear. And of course, they want to drive them. So John Boy and Colby hopped on, and I drew the short straw, and I got to ride in the back of a sleigh.
Just getting peppered the whole way.
I tried sitting backwards so I could have my back so I wouldn't get full of slush. And John Boy was like, no, you can't sit that way. You'll break your neck. You'll hurt your neck. And I was like, okay, John Boy, sure. Maybe he just wanted to see me suffer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was helping me out. But yeah, it was a 40-kilometer snowmobile ride to the lodge. I made it halfway, and I told Colby, I was like, yeah, man, you're in. John Boy was going 60 kilometers an hour. He wasn't going slow. We're going over just big snow drifts and slamming. But so we make it to the lodge. No real issues, which was nice. And we had 3 snowmobiles there that we had to get running. And the plan was for us to use those for our running around, our fishing, and for hauling some supplies. Got them going.
We just had some technical difficulties, but we are back. Jesse has too much video footage for the YouTube, so he had to clear some of that. But I think you were just talking about the sled ride in to the lodge.
Yeah, sled ride in, and then we had got to lodge where our 3 snowmobiles were stored. that we were supposed to be using for our fishing and our gas runs. And the main reason we went up there, well, there's two really, but one of the big ones was our backup generator, which I don't know if you knew, Logan, went kaputs. We did not have a backup generator because it's just, was it that like that? Or was it on the Fritz when you were up there 2 years ago?
Yeah, well, we switched to the new one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was on the Fritz. Like I think that time Zach was just trying to find a belt for it.
Okay.
Something along those lines. And then, yeah, it was kind of on the outs. And then it just, once the new one came in, it just kind of sat there, right? It wasn't really, I feel like it maybe wasn't an ideal backup in the sense that if you really needed it, I don't know how good it would have been, but.
Right. And that was 2 seasons ago now. Or was it just last year? It was just last season.
Did they helicopter in a generator or something?
No, we brought it in on the barge, I'm pretty sure. Didn't we?
Oh,
or
that
maybe that
sucked.
was the stove. Anyway.
The stove did.
Yeah, the stove came in on the barge.
Yeah.
But regardless.
Anyway.
We had to skid out our backup generator in quotations to get it to Yellowknife to get serviced and see if it was fixable or if we just had to replace it in general. Because if the season was to start, we would not have a backup. So we actually were able to get that strapped down and sent back with John Boy to Wati that first night. So that was huge. That was like such a win. Definitely helps. Even up there, what was that, April 18th? It was still light out till 10:30 p.m., like almost 11 already. Wow. Yeah. Mind you, it was like still -5, but still bright out, which was awesome. Still very much winter up there. There was like, it hardly started to melt, like the snow was melted off the roofs, but there was like 3-4 foot snow drifts all along the shoreline. Anywhere from 3.5 to 5 feet of ice, which was insane. I've never drilled through that much ice before. We did a little bit of work. We did some insulating to guide land and pine paneling, and just got a little bit of work buttoned up and cleaned up because it was a bit of a mess. Nothing too crazy. While we did that, Zach Brown just kind of ran and did emails. He really didn't do anything else. He's training for like an ultra marathon thing. And so, Colby and I were bugging him. And like on my phone, I just have a bunch of pictures of him running across the ice. And like that's really nice sunset photos and like scenery photos. You just see this tiny little dot is Zach Brown running.
Zach rutted. That's crazy. He's a madman.
He ran to Wati and back.
Did he actually?
Yes, 79 kilometers in one day.
So you weren't joking when he said, well, I can just run there.
Not at all. Yeah, not at all. And
what a madman.
So hopefully he listens to this and he'll be all fired up for it. But we did get some fishing in. We had like one warm day where it was going to be +8, and we're like, I think it was Good Friday too. So we're like, we're not working. Let's go fishing. So we headed all the way across the lake, and we went to a pretty well-known pike bay that you would know down in Southwest. And we set up tip-ups, big giant Cisco's in like 1 foot to 2 feet of water, just in a mud black bottom bay where, like I said, in the springtime, there's pike in there and beds, like spawning areas like crazy. I think we ended up catching 9 pike. The biggest was 38, and all of them were over 30. So nice fish, no giants. Was still great success considering like the last ice crew or winter crew that went up there, they didn't catch a single pike. So we did pretty good.
Number 5s. They're coming in 5s.
Yeah, save the 5s. And we ended up getting a few Lakers up shallow too, like in 3 feet of water, 4 feet of water at the mouth of the bay there, which was also surprise. Yeah, nice surprise. And then on the way back, our one snowmobile kind of grenaded a little bit. The chain drive was starting to go. So we were down to 2 snowmobiles. and we realized maybe we shouldn't do these big, massive runs across the lake anymore. So we kept our fishing a lot more localized after that, and just tried for lake trout and pike around the lodge. Thankfully, out in front of Chowder Bay, like a kilometer from the lodge, just in a big mud flat, we were getting good lake trout. I think we ended up catching 4 or 5. I think we got 5 over 39 inches.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all on tip-ups. We didn't catch any big trout jigging. Colby and I tried. We went out to 15 feet to 50 feet. You know, we went to Morris Channel even.
Oh, okay.
And caught just rats. And Colby tried out in front of Big Island, and nothing but small, just rat lake trout. All of our big trout came from like 8 feet of water or less, which is...
That'd be a crazy fight.
Yeah, insane. Like trying to get their head up the hole when they're going nuts in 3 feet of water was just...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What'd you guys eat when you're up there? Fish?
We not even once. We didn't bonk a single fish. We ate good. We bought a bunch of groceries in High Level, and we meal planned like really well. We made us kind of a set list, and yeah, we were having steak and chicken thighs and ground beef, like tacos, burritos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, wraps. We had good bacon and eggs for breakfast. Yeah, we did good.
Nice.
We didn't.
That's sweet. That's cool to get to fish that in the winter.
It was super fun, and just it was strange. Like the landmarks look different in the winter. Maybe it was just the mirage off the ice or the heat waves or whatever. But like when we were heading to the southwest, we stopped across this ice eve, and Zach goes, "Well, Jesse, which way do you think the H Bay is?" And I was like, "Oh, I think it's that way." Colby's like, "Oh, I think it's over there." And Zach goes, "Well, I think," and he's pointing a totally different direction. You got 3 veteran guys, and we're just kind of like,
yeah, the 3 most veteran.
Exactly. Yeah. And we all pointed different directions, and it just looked different. We all agreed that the shoreline looked odd. We seen a group of 5 caribou crossing the lake as well when we were going to a spot. So that was pretty neat. Got a nice close look at them. What else happened up there?
You didn't tell John Boy, did you?
We did not tell John Boy. No.
I was gonna say, I do know, like my first year up there was still ice on the lake, and it looked like you were driving to an ice wall every time, and obviously you weren't, but it looked like that ice was 15-20 feet high just because of the mirage, so I could see how that messes up everything.
Yeah, it was very deceiving, and like a lot, like you said, big ice shelf, it would appear, and you'd get up close and nothing would happen. And but yeah, we didn't tell John Boy about the caribou. He was carrying his trusty 30-30 with him everywhere.
He was ready.
Yeah, but yeah, we did a couple of. We didn't even haul gas, but we hauled some propanes and got some garbage out and some steel, and just cleaning up Guideland and getting it in ship shape. I mean, it took Colby and I probably 4.5-5 days of work, which you put that, if we would have flew in June 2nd and had to do that on top of all of our other, general lodge startup, it would have been a bit of a headache. So just really happy we went up and got that done. And we're able to see what didn't get winterized as well. So we know some things we need to order. And so we're a month
instead of
ahead.
showing up there and it's pooched.
Exactly. Now we just know it's pooched, so we can get ahead of it and get stuff ordered to fix it.
Yeah. No, that's good. Well, that sounds like a fun trip. The fishing would have been fun. The work is actually kind of fun up there when you're getting stuff done. So that was pretty sweet. Yeah. Long drive, long sled ride, kind of a good adventure, eh? Yeah.
Overall, it was good. I mean, Colby and I spent a lot of time road tripping up there together, and it went good. And we, no hot water up there, so we had to do bucket showers. That was interesting. Cold. Cold. It was cold up there. Like the nights were minus 14, minus 10. And then like even through the day, it was still 0 or minus 2. Like,
especially
chilly.
Going from down here where it was getting warm.
Yeah.
You're getting used to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was 18 degrees when we left Edmonton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Anything else to add to your trip?
If you want to watch a video on one of those big 20-pound lake trout getting caught through the ice, it's up on Jackfish Hills Outdoors. Did you watch it, Logan?
I haven't watched it yet. I didn't realize that post was when did you upload it?
Friday.
I was in Scottsdale on a bachelor trip. I'll blame it on that.
That's a valid excuse, my friend. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Friday was a tough day for me. So yeah, I did not see that. It'll be for my viewing. I should have viewed it in the airport. I was in the Scottsdale airport from 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. waiting for my flight because the Airbnb, we had to be out of it by 11. So I just was like, I don't want to spend money on Airbnbs other than just right to the airport. So I went and just sat there. So should have done that.
That's a tough sit, honestly.
Yeah.
That's rough.
I did get some podcast stuff done though. Worked on that while I was sitting there, so that worked out well. But yeah, let's transition here into some kind of the spring send-off episode here now.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of start off here. First thing, couple early spring things to do. Getting ready for your fishing season. I like to get lots of this out of the way because I know once it's middle of summer, I'm probably not going to be doing lots of this stuff. Like lots of my upgrades did throughout the winter, because when you do have time to be doing something other than work or stuff around the house, you want to be spending it fishing, right? Not working on it on the boat or something like that necessarily. So a couple things here. One that I like to make sure of is ensuring that your boat batteries are all charged up before you go. It might sound kind of silly. Obviously, like some people with the bigger boats and stuff, you've got the maintainers for your trolling motor batteries and whatnot. But one thing I feel like gets forgotten about a lot is your starting battery, your cranking battery. And if you don't got lots of juice in that, it might not. You might make it out the first couple times, but I know a couple years ago our battery was on the fritz, but I think the third time out it was starting to have trouble starting because it had just gotten kind of drained more. And if you start off full, that's obviously a good way to go there. And you don't want to be all excited for your first trip out there just to have a dead battery either. So
exactly, yeah.
That's number one. Another thing on the boat side of things is ensuring that your motor and gear oil are all topped off, or if you changed it or emptied one of them in the fall and didn't fill it back up, obviously making sure that that's all filled back up, because those are pretty important, I think.
Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Oh, even just running a can of sea foam through your motor the first time, your first tank of gas, put some sea foam in there and just help clean everything out.
Right. Especially it's been sitting all winter. That's a good idea there. Another one here is you could use code Weekend Warriors, save 15% off all new line. Should be relining any reels that maybe been sitting for a bit, especially depending on how they are stored. Mm-hmm. I think kind of non-temperature controlled things can play into your line's capability as it gets older. I know lots of us, like for me, lots of the time I'm just cutting off the first 30, 40 feet and there's still tons on the reel, and then I can just tie leader back onto that, and it's basically fresh new line. But I kind of keep lots of my stuff. It's all in temperature controlled areas, so nothing
out
really
of the sun.
Out of the sun. I don't know if cold really matters for braid, but it's not sitting in the cold in a shed all winter, something like that. So that's something to keep in mind. Or even, it's also nice just spooling up a fresh set for the summer, right?
Yeah, it gives you that confidence that you know you're good now, right? Like,
yes. Yeah. No, that's a good one. And then we want to dive into some leech trapping. Get into some specifics here. Both of us have quite a bit of experience with that. Your experience would probably be a little different than mine, just being where you are. I'm going to assume you being more in central Saskatchewan as far as population goes, and me being more south. I guess I'll get into some of my specifics. So I've found that pretty well any dugout down here in the south has leeches, and then it's just a matter of what leech class is going to be in that dugout and what species of leech. So when I'm talking leech class, they might all be ribbon leeches, but they're totally different size. One, you might have small or micros in one, and you can literally move. Like I've had dugouts that are just separated by a berm, and the next one has more medium to large. I haven't found any like jumbo. If anyone here who fishes tournaments, they would know. But when you're buying those jumbos, like we're talking like thumb-sized leeches, I haven't found anything like that down here yet. and I don't know of anyone who has down south here yet, but I get into that size where I'm not really mad when a perch is stealing it or something along those lines. I'm in that kind of medium to large with lots of the dugouts I trap. But a big thing is I've also gone too early, like right after ice off. You kind of want to let things heat up a little bit. Yeah. And then I think you can kind of trap down here at least into like late June. I think I've trapped as early as like one of the first weeks of July, and it wasn't near as good as it is in the prime time, but there is definitely a too soon and a too late as far as this goes. And then it's about taking care of your leeches, but we can kind of get into that after we go through your side of things here. But I'm basically doing dugouts down here. I'm not sure what are you focusing on? Is it dugouts as well?
No, it's just more natural ponds, I guess. The one that I get my best leeches from and like my most, my buddy actually put trout in here last year. So it'll be curious to see if the leech numbers are lower, because I would get like 75 leeches in a trap in a pie plate. And he put 150 rainbow trout in there last spring. So I'm curious to see like what they did to the leech population in there. Hopefully he doesn't ruin my honey hole, but I haven't, had to try a ton of different bodies of water. I tried a little slough across the house here that didn't have any leeches, and then I talked to my dad, and he's like, "Oh, there's leeches up 10 miles up the road," and I went there, and it was it's just really good. There's tons of them and quite a few tigers, but I can sort through those and still get some nice big ribbon leeches, which is like you said, what a guy wants.
So you have what does a tiger leech look like?
Or
horse?
Like the striped ones, like the green predator ones that you don't
ribbed
want.
Ones. Yeah. I don't know if that's a horse leech. I think it's a horse leech.
Okay. Yeah, no,
or
that
a
sounds
form
right.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could just be different places call them different things too, right? Just like a walleye and a pickerel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of the one thing too, is you want to focus on ribbon leeches over your, we'll say tiger / horse leeches. Or I think another one is like, is there diamondback? They're totally different.
Right.
But they'll apparently lay eggs once they latch on. So I'm happy I don't see many of those. But that's the big thing. I don't know what it is. Some people say it's an enzyme. I know that they don't like the walleye don't like the horse leeches. Not totally sure. I haven't read up much on it other than I know I just don't want them. And I've tested it. Like I've caught some up north. There's I've caught them just with nets. They're swimming freely, and there's obviously a reason they're doing that, because they're some of the biggest, juiciest leeches you'll see. Put them down there, nothing will touch it. Switch it out for a ribbon, instant. So it's definitely a thing. As for the reason, not too sure, but I guess let's both cover. We might do it differently too. Obviously, everyone's seen kind of the pie plate setup. I know Jay Siemens had a video a couple of years back where he went out with a commercial leecher, and they had more of like a folded metal. I don't know if it was like
an envelope.
Yeah, it was like an envelope, and so that's same idea, right? You're creating that area where you can have some bait that the leeches are going to go into. I just run, you can do this for cheap, and I've been using the same stuff for a long time. I just run to the dollar store. I get some of the medium. I don't like the large ones as much because they're bigger. They take longer to sink, even if you do have a rock or something in there. And then I just find the medium's kind of a good size. Get those heap cheap. Everyone I'm sure that's listening has some old fishing line laying somewhere. That's what I use to tie them. I started putting markers on it because I was constantly being like, okay, I have 3 traps here. I've only found 2. Where's the other one? Eventually find it. So that was just for speed. And then I run anything from like wild game liver to beef liver. I think I've tried chicken livers. I think I've done kidney as well. In some people's videos, they're just using fish scraps too, I think. Because I'm not totally sure, but I think the ribbon leeches are more of a meat eater than they are a blood sucker. Is that
right? That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of anything, but I find that the blood's got to help a little bit, right? So lots of the bloody stuff, and I'm not much of a liver guy, so instead of just leaving the gut pile of a deer in the field, I will take like the heart and I haven't tried the heart. I've got a heart to try still, but the liver, not a liver guy at all. So I just take that, cube it up, and put 1 or 2 cubes in there, and then it's closing it up with a couple rubber bands, and then I fold the corners, leave little spaces for them to come in, and then you don't lose many when you're pulling it out either. That's why I like to fold the bottom corner for sure. I tie to the one end, so it just pulls in straight, and fold the back end. But is that kind of similar to your traps?
Pretty much, yeah. I just use some bread ties to keep my pie plates shut, and same thing, crimping the corners, crimp them tight so that when you are pulling them in, you're not losing them, and pretty much same. I use like old freezer burnt like steak or just any kind of meat I find in the freezer really that's at the bottom that has gone missed, and you really only get like 2 soaks out of it, and then it seems to lose its potency, or like even I just put fresh bait all the time, but if you forget it, like you can usually get 2 soaks I think out of a chunk of red meat, and then they don't go for it. They got all they need out of it.
Yeah, and that's another thing too for kind of ease with these setups is I find whether you're doing it like a dugout and there's a field nearby, find a couple small rocks to help sink it too. Otherwise, you'll be sitting there looking at a floating pie plate waiting for it to go down.
Sometimes it never does.
Yeah, and I don't know. This would be good. I've tried multiple depths. What do you find is best for depth?
Man, honestly, like a foot or 2 of water. I've chucked them in deep. Like at this pond, I can probably reach 8 feet with like 25, 30 feet of toss, and I've chucked them out there, and just seems like smaller ones. All the bigger leeches I seem to get pretty close to shore.
Okay. Yeah, and I haven't really noticed a size correlation to deepness. I have noticed a bit of numbers wise. The only thing so where I do it, there's 3 dugouts, all just separated by berms. And the one just because of where I can get down to the water, it's always in shallower. And I feel like I get bigger ones from there. But then the other one is a bigger dugout, and I think it's got a steeper slope. So I try and get it just on the edge of the weeds that grow, but then that kind of drops off. So I don't really know exactly where it's landing. And I still catch a lot, but they're not as big. So I don't know if it's just a dugout by dugout thing for that, or if it's has to do with depth. But that's something you can play around with, right? You can, like, I don't run many because I pull quite a few leeches out of the traps. I think I'll go like 5, I think. And it's pretty simple. 3 in the one dugout, 2 in the other, or switch it out depending on which dugout seems to be catching better. And that's all I do. And then it's checking it twice. Like I guess that's one thing she mentioned too, is checking them in the morning. When I first started, I was just checking them when I could. So I'd go and check them at the end of the day. And then I was talking to some COs, and they're like, "Oh no, you want to be checking in the morning." I started checking in the morning. Basically, if you can get there before sunrise, it's even better. But I'm checking at like before I go to work. So I'd be checking at like 7 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. Sun's already been up for a bit, but it's more before I think that heat starts to come. And those traps were like 4 or 5 times as full. So
for sure,
that's a big one to mention. The timing is important because they could have been there, and if you're just not there at the right time, you still get some residuals in the trap, but it's nothing
close. I'll even check mine just at midnight. So they're only out there for 2-3 hours, and that's all you need. And then I pull them and go to bed.
That's smart rather than getting up especially if you got a trip the next morning, right? It's
for
nice.
Sure.
I know you did that last year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah. So that's some important stuff there with that. And then before we get into, I guess, taking care of them, just kind of a quick, I guess, summary of that. Some form of bait, meat, some form of like a pie plate, something to put that bait into, let it sink, and have them come into. They don't need much room to get in either. Like they're pretty skinny little guys, so it's pretty easy to do that. And just some old fishing line. Some people use rope. It's a lot easier to see. I had issues with someone trapping and stealing my traps, and it's another reason I went to fishing line, and it's on my own property.
No way.
That was maddening. Yeah, so if you're listening, you know where to go. But it's yeah, do that. And what else? What else in there? Something to keep it closed helps. You can fold it, but I just don't trust that it won't come unfolded while I'm trying to get it out, because sometimes if it's moved a little bit when it sank, it could kind of get stuck in something. So I definitely like the rubber bands there. But the next most important part, the catching them, is the easy part. The caring for them and keeping them alive is where people's experiences vary greatly. I've been pretty lucky at keeping mine alive for the most part. I don't use tap water. I know that might not matter depending how long you're keeping them alive, but I use dugout water from where they came, or rainwater. Just with the tap water being in town and the chemicals and stuff in it, I feel like they don't live as long. And my reason for that is I was taking care of my buddy's leeches and mine at the same time. He said he didn't care. He just uses tap water in Regina. So I used tap water for his, and I was using dugout water for mine. I was taking care of them. I left for a trip. He came back, took them to take care of them because I was going to be gone for a while. His were all dead, disgusting water, and they were fine like the couple days before I'd left. It had been like a week, so which can be kind of long for water changes, right? But mine were totally fine and lived for like another month and a half. So that is one thing.
Bad water.
Yeah. So is that what you use? Just dugout lake water?
I get it from our well, like straight from our hydrant. So it's coming out of the ground and unfiltered, just natural, good cold water.
And I replenish lots when I'm at the lake because I just have like the Freybill, I think it's Freybill, bait cooler. So I just bring the whole thing with me, and it's insulated. They stay nice and cold. And at the end of the day, I just sieve out some of the water and then fill it back up with lake water, and it's pretty easy that way. But yeah, that's a big thing, is your water changes, because when you're first bringing them in, you were mentioning something you do before you even have them back to your place.
No, once I get them back to my place, and I'll sort them, and I'll obviously I'm trying to sort away as many of the small ones as I can when I'm emptying the traps and throwing them back in there. But then I sort them again once I get them home. And all my big leeches, I take a cheesecloth, or like just a mesh. People probably know what a cheesecloth is. Mm-hmm. And I just pin it around a 5-gallon pail with some like C-clamps or whatever. And all my keepers, I throw in that cheesecloth and get my tap or my well water going nice and cold. And I just rinse them heavily I'll do like 2 or 3 bucketfuls. Like once the bucket gets full, I'll trap them in the cheesecloth, empty my bucket out, reset it, do it again. Just rinse the crap out of them. And then I'll transfer them into my containers with another batch of clean water. And I found that doing that, like I can kind of stick them in a fridge and forget about them for at least a week, because their water's clean and they're clean. So they're not getting dirty.
Right. And whereas I don't do that because I didn't even think about it. It's a really good idea. But because I'm usually doing it quick in the morning before work, it's swiping that pie plate. I do, if there is some smaller ones that I have a bit more time, I'll toss them back in. And then it's swiping that pie plate down, moving on to the next trap, swiping it down, and they're all going into my bucket. And then I've got a pail that I bring, and I'll fill that up with water, because I'm having to I'll have to change the water probably once a day, once every 2 days for the first week. And then they've kind of cleared themselves up. They've spit out all the stuff that they were eating, all the mud, whatever. It's all kind of gross and gone by that point. So it would definitely be nice not to have to do that, because clean water is a big thing. And then keeping your fridge very cold is another thing. I have a thermometer in my fridge. I can't remember what I read was it like 4 degrees? Like it's just before freezing. You don't even a little layer of ice isn't like terrible. We're talking like thin layer of ice on top, because you want them to go dormant is what I understand. Mm-hmm. And if they go dormant, they'll kind of curl up and then they reactivate basically once they get warmer. I know, what tournament was I fishing? I can't remember if it was the Vanity and it was cold enough. I think it was cold enough at the Vanity. I could be wrong. But when me and another Jesse were fishing the Vanity, we'll say it was that. We're just going with that. It was so cold that the leeches weren't activating. Like they were staying cold. Might have been the Regina Beach one. I can't remember. But whatever tournament it was, those leeches were cold and they were just balling up on the jig, which isn't a very good presentation either. So
No.
that has nothing, but the storage, you have to keep them cold. If you just keep it at a regular fridge temperature, it's not ideal and they won't last as long. So lots of people will run like a dedicated mini fridge. Mine's just the garage fridge with pop and beer in it. So I just crank that thing, make it nice and cold, and kind of keep an eye on that because the cold is the key to longevity there. And it probably doesn't help. I just take, like I said, my whole cooler with me each time. It would probably help if I sorted them and only took, 30 at a time and let the other ones stay dormant rather than going dormant, waking up, dormant, waking up, right? But
True.
Yeah, I do eventually sort them once I get a lot, and then I fill up one of my Rubbermaids or Tupperware with the small ones, and when I go back out, I just release all those because I think they have like a 2-year life cycle, something along those lines. So they'll be a better size hopefully next year from what I understand. Hopefully this stuff is right. This is just there isn't a lot of research on it. Like I dove into it pretty good. I don't know. I think there's only one place that's maybe figured out how to actually farm leeches themselves. Otherwise, all those leeches you're seeing is someone going out there and trapping them. Obviously, they've got some good honey holes, but yeah, there's not many, if any at all. This was a couple of years ago I was reading it, but like I think it was someplace down in the Midwest. They might have figured it out, but they're tight-lipped about it, obviously, if they're going to be the only ones. So
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else on the leeches?
Man, that was a very thorough walkthrough on leech trapping and stuff. But like you say, there isn't a lot of info out there, and you really just kind of got to talk to people and try it, and hopefully some of our failures can help someone out there listening now.
So I had a story that I told you before we were recording that I'd tell you, and I think now is the time for that story. I do know that the leech trapping isn't as good in about late July, August, because I did it last year. And then I didn't use leeches the rest of the year. So I basically trapped them. Didn't end up, I forget what I was wanting to do, but I didn't end up doing it with those leeches. And then I kind of just left them and I'd remember it, and then I'd forget it, and I left them until today in my Freybill cooler. And so I was like, you know what, today before we record this episode, know what we're going to talk about, I'm going to deal with this issue. And it wasn't an issue at all. They were all dead.
Oh, okay.
And it was gross, but it didn't smell at all, which I was surprised about. My fridge didn't, I would check on it. My fridge, I wouldn't open it, but my fridge didn't smell all winter at all. There's
every time you opened your mini fridge, you seen your bait cooler there?
Well, it's a full size fridge, so I'd be going to grab like a beer for someone, and oh yeah, those are still there. Got to do something with that. And then there's also 2 styrofoams of night crawlers too.
Oh,
they didn't. Nothing smelled, so I was like, you know what? I'll deal with this later.
Deal with it later.
Yeah. And so I go to deal with it today, and I'm like, I sent a Snapchat to some buddies. I was like, time to see, because they knew about it. I was like, time to see what happens. And I opened it up, and it was just black. And I was like, okay. And then I waited a bit. I was like, I don't even smell anything. Like, this isn't that bad. Dump it out. Don't smell anything again. They look like any dead leech does when they died a day ago, not however many months ago. And the only thing is it kind of died like the water level. You can tell where it was because it was a white cooler on the inside, and now it's like black.
Oh, yeah.
But I just got it sitting. I rinsed it twice. By that point, the water coming out of it was clear. And I put some dish soap in there and letting that sit overnight with it full. And then I'll rinse it really good because I don't really want any of that stuff in there when I do put leeches back in there. Mm-hmm. But I was pleasantly surprised. I still wouldn't suggest it.
No,
it was weighing on my mind. But yeah, so I figured you'd enjoy that. It's better than
that's good.
It was a lot better experience than Dad found I had put a bucket of bait in the shed one year. Was it my first year guiding? I think I'd put it in there like at the end of the ice fishing season because it was still cold out.
Yeah.
And when I was living at my parents, I didn't have as much freezer space for that, or didn't want to put it in there. And then I forgot about it. And then I think I came up guiding, and then Dad sent me a picture when he went.
Yes. Yes.
Was it?
Yeah, no, I remember that. I remember you
Okay.
being in the bin and talking about this, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was like
That
a
was
pack
bad.
of herring or something, wasn't it?
It was a pack of herring, and I think that
Yeah.
pack had like filled up with maggots. It was just, just gross. Yeah.
Well, I bet you anyone who's fished enough, man, I think we've all left some bait in a tackle box or in a sleigh or your tent. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just inevitable. I think everyone's done it. I've done it. So,
Yeah, we actually we had my very first boat. We have a ramp that kind of goes down in the water at our cabin, and we had we just left it there. And I don't know if it was snow or whatever happened. Like then the plug was in, the back from the transom to like the first seat filled up with water,
okay.
and it was just left sitting there. And then it kind of got all gross, and I think it was the water though. I don't know what larva was in there, but it filled with larvae. Like, and they look like maggots, but I don't think they would they can't live in water, right?
No,
Can they?
no, it'd be some, some larvae. I don't know, mosquitoes or dragonflies or something. I
Like
don't know.
it looked like maggots though, like because there was literally, by the time we emptied it and we're washing it, there's literally, like, we'll call them maggots for now, maggot imprints on the wall. Because the water had gotten kind of algae too, and I don't know how that happened. Like, it's gonna sound like we don't take care of anything, we do, but
Yeah. And here you are talking about prepping your boat for spring and how to take care of it.
Yeah, we learn from our mistakes. I have no idea how that one happened either. Like, it was just really weird, but yeah. So yeah, there's some gross things can really change when you forget about it for a month or a week.
There's our what not to do's.
Yeah. At the end of the season, empty out your bait. Yeah. No, I've tried to keep night crawlers over the season. Like, I've had some buddies like, I got night crawlers, you want them? Like, I'll throw them in some dirt and put them in the dark and see what happens. But it never works. So I don't know how people do that and actually take care of things like that. But yeah, that was my leech story. It actually turned out great. So now I've actually got to start trapping again now that I have that empty, because I didn't get out. Like, the Monday here was the opener. My boat right now is getting an hour reading done on it and a hour meter put on it, and that they said could be 2 to 3 weeks. So I think I might get out fishing this weekend. We sold my old boat, so might be going with my buddy that bought that on Saturday. So I might have to try and trap a little bit here, and then I'm going to grab mine. If it's not ready by May long, I'll be grabbing it before, and I'll be fishing anyways. So
Nice.
that we'll need some leeches for that. But yeah, I think that kind of brings the whole leech thing full circle, eh?
Yeah, that was a lot of leech talk.
Yeah, it was. Lots of leech talk. You can shoot me or Jesse a message if you have any other questions. I know when I post my stories, I get quite a few reactions and replies to that asking stuff. If you are doing dugouts, make sure you have permission to be using them. It's not just a hunting thing for permission. It's a fishing thing. It's land. You need permission to be on it if it's not yours. But literally, go on Google Maps, find dugout. Well-established dugouts are really important too.
Yeah,
if it's a
something that's
newer
not going to
dugout.
dry up and
That too.
in a drought year.
Yeah. Though I've been burned by those, and I've been trying them. You find out it actually dries up every once in a while, or you don't want to do newer dugouts because they haven't been established yet in there. But it is insane how you find an established dugout somewhere, and they seem to have some form of leeches in there. One last thing, I like to throw it near vegetation, which usually is in that 1 to 2 feet anyways. But I try and focus on vegetation as well there. But I think we are ready to move on to some fishing talk.
Yeah.
It's already been 40 minutes
I know.
for this part since our technical difficulties. So
Yeah. So what are you going to do with all those? What are you going to catch with all those leeches now? You're probably going to go. Well, you're probably going to go walleye fishing. I was going to say.
yeah. Oh, you're teeing that one up there. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I plan to do some walleye off the start. I've got some other things I'm going to be doing on the water as well, but I'll be focusing mostly on walleye and carp actually this spring. The leeches, I haven't tried them for carp yet. Kind of getting off topic here, but I haven't tried them for carp yet. Maybe I will. More of a night crawler guy for the carp and some other stuff. But yeah, starting off with walleye, I'll definitely be running some leeches for when I really, really need a bite. I like to run the artificials, like I said, with the live scope here. It's just, especially like on Buffalo Pound, where I'll be starting off because it's the home lake there. Can really just break things down quick. There's not much for break lines, anything like that to be focusing on. So it's kind of just covering water. And I like to just stand up front and cast away. And you're playing a game of roulette. It's either going to be a walleye and you're happy, or it's going to be a pike and it's either gone without you even knowing it, or you get to have a good fight. So that part's nice. But yeah, I'll be doing some walleye, focusing on, once I get to say Last Mountain. I can't really say in Buffalo I'll be focusing on the shallower areas because it's all kind of shallow. But even
shallow.
there, I know I've mentioned it years past for anyone who's been listening for a long time. Springtime, great. Learned it on the Gord Pizer part 1 or 2. I can't remember. But jerk baits at night or as the sun's going down. I don't even launch the boat. I'm fishing off the dock, and it is such a cool bite. Just kind of jerk, stop, jerk, stop, and then they just absolutely hammer it. Even the perch have been hammering it, and it's like I think it's like 4 or 5 inches. It's pretty sweet. So I'll do that as well. But yeah, definitely checking out shallower parts of the break lines, anywhere where they might have been spawning as well. Obviously a great spot to be because depending on their stage of when they're spawning, I think you had said that you had heard they were in wherever your person was, that they were still spawning.
Yeah, they were still seeing active walleye spawning, and they were pulling up walleye with eggs still loaded up. So just be mindful of that if you're going out, and treat those fish with some respect and some love, and let them finish their deal, you know.
I heard you say that the walleye were still spitting out eggs.
Yeah, they caught one that was still pushing eggs out, and so obviously they released that girl as fast, as quickly as they could, and yeah, so just be mindful. The fish are still going through the motions, and still they're some late bloomers, so yeah.
Handle with care. We were going to mention that at the end, but these are the most tired and beat up these fish are going to be throughout the year for the most part. So just keep that in mind when you're going to be handling them. But yeah, before I froze there, said I'll be checking out the shallower areas where they'll be spawning. Usually using something like, say, if I'm going to a Last Mountain. I can't say if I'm going to a deep because I've never caught a walleye there because I'm not a great fisherman. I caught every other species there pretty well except for a walleye. But I seem to target the trout more there. But anyways, yeah, Lindy, jigging a leech, slip bobber I absolutely love. I think it's just the nostalgia of it. It's just, I love watching, especially in the spring. If you get onto a point or something that those walleye are set up, it's like casting it out, and you know if you're going to be, it's like if you're not down 20 seconds, reel it up, cast somewhere else. Probably more like a minute, but it's pretty well instant. You get that depth set right, and it's actually crazy how quick that goes. So
much fun. Yeah.
Another
tactic that I really like using in the spring walleye is the tail dancer, like just a small, like deep diver, just something to get down right on bottom, and one that floats too, so that you can pause it in that little, I think having a diver that floats really triggers bites a lot of the times on that pump.
Right.
I know at Dory, like where our family cabin is, that's like my go-to to be trolling around is a small tail dancer. I can't remember the size, but.
And it was your parents that loved the Klacken wrap, hey?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is discontinued, right?
Right. They ordered a bunch off eBay for like $38 a piece. It was like something ridiculous.
That was a great bait. I only had one of them, but I would troll that thing nonstop.
Yeah.
I remember that. I saw it in a magazine. That's how long ago it was. I didn't even have a phone yet, I don't think. I'm not sure. I remember seeing a magazine, and I was like, I got to get this when I go to Bass Pro in Calgary. Like this just went and bought one because I was like, we'll see how it works. And then, of course, never made it back to go get more. But, yeah, no, that's another great tactic there. When I'm running the slip bobbers, when I had first started using them, and maybe it's just because I didn't know as much, I was running like a little jig under it. I don't know if people do that as much. It got the bait down quick, but I like to run just a plain octopus, and that kind of allows that leech to swim around, and then I'll run a split shot just above that. Depending on how the bite seems to be going, I move that up and down, but it just helps get that bait down there quick. And then if it is a big, like some of these leeches are big enough that they can actually, even though they're still hooked, they can swim and move around with that, and the fish absolutely love it. So that's kind of it for walleye, unless you had more to add there.
No, yeah, just if you're going to a lake where there's rivers coming in, focus on the river mouse, because they probably are going up there to spawn, and then they're coming out to find food. So set up in those channels and search the edges and spawn at shallow spawning bays. If there's pike in there, there's probably going to be walleye too. I mean, they hang out and spawn in similar areas. So
right, yeah, and that's kind of transitioning to the next one with pike. I was going to say, yeah, if you're in those areas, you're probably going to find pike too. I've used big things for pike in the spring as well. I like to kind of think too, they're just finished spawning. If they are done that, they're going to be hungry. So I like to kind of mess around with pike a little bit with that. But like, as I learned up north at Lac La Marthe there being with you guys, is it also doesn't take any size at all to get lots of the big ones to bite too. So like whether it's the black fly, stuff like that. But do you want to maybe get into some of the specifics for pike as far as where to find them, temperature, everything like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's very temperature dependent. I have always thought like you need 60 or higher before the pike gets snappy. That 64 to 66 is like pretty money in my opinion. Once it hits 70, I think they start to avoid anything over 70 degrees, just from what I've seen. So finding that warm water, and it is shocking how little water a pike actually needs to feel comfortable in and to be hanging out in. Like, you'll catch them in 8 inches of water, and
enough to cover
shallow,
their back.
pretty much. And if you're the first guy in there, you're definitely going to get a shot at those fish. Yeah. I think once, on our more populated lakes and pressured lakes, first couple of boats go in, hammer them. Those fish aren't going to go far. They'll push a little deeper and go, a little more secluded, but they're not going to, in my opinion, I don't think they're just going to bust out and leave completely. So even if you're showing up a couple of days after opener, or, a week even, those fish are still going to be around, and you just might have to fish a little deeper and do a little more work for them. But yeah, if you can get the timing right in the back of any shallow mud bay or little creek, river coming in, should be stacked right now.
Yeah, and you had mentioned finding the warmer water. Just to clarify there, it's warmer water at the time, right? Because as soon as you said you find once get that 70 plus, then they're not liking that as much. So when the rest of the main lakes, like up at Lac La Marthe, it's in the 40s in some of those, low 50s, then if you can find, we're the first people to find 60 are just smiling ear to ear, right? Up there when you're taking clients out, it's like, okay, this is going to start to get good. And it doesn't take much on a bigger lake too. The wind's going one way, it can blow out a bay. Totally changes everything day to day. 100%. So it's definitely something where you want to be using your electronics. And most people, I think of electronics just for the depth or for what they're seeing on that sonar. But as far as marks or whatever, but temperature can play huge roles depending on what you're going to be fishing for. So pay attention to that number as well. I think some people's might not even have temperature showing on that specific set. Like, I think you can, on some of them, you can change what's showing, right? So that's definitely something to keep in mind, especially when going for pike. I've gone from big jerk baits, typical big pike lures, all the way down to little black flies, all depending on the bite. But I've even just gone, this is probably like 8 years ago. I just decided I'm going to just work this whole shoreline. Like, Buffalo doesn't really have much as far as bays or anything like that. And I was like, I just worked shoreline. I stayed basically casting distance offshore with these big baits, and I just worked shoreline, just kept the same distance offshore, and that paid off as well. So don't be afraid to check that out. It was pretty fun. Got to see lots of the lake, and just basically casted my arm off and got into some nice fish. So that's something to try as well. You got anything else for the pike?
Not overly. I mean, same thing as we said before. They're going to be in rough shape. The pike, I feel like, are beat up way more than a walleye ever gets. They're pretty aggressive to each other. So be quick with them. Get them to the boat as fast as you can. Make sure don't take your walleye gear and go pike fishing with it. Like, make sure you have a pike rod with some good line, good backbone. Fight them hard. Get them in.
I'm seeing lots of sturgeon being caught lately. People walleye fishing, hooking into sturgeon this spring, it seems. Not that, I mean, you're fishing for walleye, you're going to be set up for walleye. It's not not your fault. That's a bycatch. But that made me think of, I've seen quite a few on the Instagram and Facebook. So that's kind of cool to see. And kind of along those same lines, we'll say, some might not appreciate this, but carp. This is kind of the time of year that I focus on my carp fishing, at least where I am. I know there's some hardcore carp guys that might be listening, and they do it year round and a lot more in depth. I'm here to talk in simplicity form. The reason I mostly do it in the spring is my shallow area that I do it gets weeded out by about the end of June, and I can't get in there, and I also can't physically fish it either because of all the weeds. So I'll usually spend a day or two and head out for some carp, because we have some great carp fishing down here in the south at quite a few of the lakes. But I know you said, Jesse, you don't really have much experience that way with carp, so I'll maybe kind of take this one. But I've gone and I've done I've taken like birdseed, shredded wheat, all this stuff, mix it together, like watching YouTube videos of how they do it overseas, maybe or down south in the States too, adding some red Kool-Aid mixing that all together in like a base cell container, and then tossing some of that out and put it on I think it's called a method feeder. It's kind of like a little cage with a weight that you can pack that in, and then you put your hook into there with whether you've got a hair rig with some corn, or I just run night crawler on that. Just kind of gives them, because they're coming in, they're picking up, spitting out, picking up, spitting out, and eventually they pick up your bait, whether it's the corn on the hair rig, or I found, at least where I'm doing it, they love the night crawlers. So I think it helps kind of bring them in and into the feeding with all the other stuff. And then night crawler just on again, plain octopus hook. I do go barbless for those just because they're with the way their mouths are, kind of helps with that. But yeah, and then it's just sitting and waiting. I do have 2 bite alarms just because I like to get into things a little more, and it's pretty cool watching that, or when they do a drive-by and they catch some of your line, because there's so many where I'm doing it, when they hit your line and you start to get it beeping, but then just drops. It's like, well, they were just going with the line. So it's an awesome fight. You can have a lot of fun with it. I'm hoping to get one on the fly this year. Actually, I didn't tell you, Fishy tied me up some balance leeches on another note. So
cool.
Shout out to Fishy there. I'll be trying those out.
He's sending them to you?
Yeah, they're somewhere in my house. They arrived when I was in Scottsdale, and I haven't seen them yet. So I'm going to have to check those out. But shout out to Fishy for those. But that's kind of the carp program there. We should find someone to kind of talk about the carp a little more and get into to the specifics, because it is a fun thing. Like, if you want to go hang out on the shore with some friends, I've had it where there's 4 of us there, and it's actually like, it's nice being in the boat hanging out with guys, but setting up some lawn chairs on the shore, casting out your lines, and then when you do hook in, like we also caught a bigmouth buffalo doing this. I think it was 30. I don't want to get this wrong. Was it 36 inches? Like, it was big fish. I've caught him doing that. That's a cool fish to see that you don't see a ton of, especially on rod and reel. So you never know what you're going to run into. I think quillback as well can be run into with that. So it's kind of cool. We don't get I know lots of people probably run into those species when they're fishing a river or anything along those lines, but we don't really have that down where I am. So, it's kind of something cool and different for me.
Well, one of these springs, Logan, not this year, but hopefully next year, I'll make a trip down there and we'll go carp fishing, because I've never caught one, and we should. And after talking with Colin last episode there, like, getting one on a fly would be super, super fun. So we'll have to make a plan and
Yeah,
the game plan together.
We could head to the spot, get some waders on, go around in that, try and get on the fly, and then even just like the couple years ago, the first one we hooked into was 32 pounds, like, and you can see them too. It's crazy, and it's a nice fun fight in shallow. They don't have anywhere to go down, so it's just out, and they just scream drag. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I know a lot of people listening probably don't like carp, but when you actually just go and spend some time, it's pretty sweet when you get into the big ones too. And honestly, beautiful fish. They don't smell at all. They don't got like slime. Like, it's honestly, to me, at least the ones I've been hooking into, I shouldn't speak for all of them, but they're almost to me like a trout in that way. Like, to me, they didn't smell. They felt very clean, like, especially for what they're living in. Like, it was a pleasant surprise, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, pretty sweet fish. So yeah, I think that wraps up the carp, and then we can get into some trout / stock trout and pretty well wrap this thing up, put a bow on it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess the lake trout lakes aren't going to be open till the 15th anyway. So, because there's none.
You got to head down to Fort
zone.
Peck.
Yeah, good, eh?
That's actually the closest lake trout lake to me.
Is it, eh? Interesting.
I think it's only 4 hours or something like that from me.
You ever been tempted to go down?
Oh yeah, I've seen the ice fishing videos there, but I've also heard how it can be pretty sketchy if you don't know the place, like crossing heaves, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah,
kind of like a Diefenbaker sort of situation, right?
Well, I think it's even worse because it's even bigger. Like,
and probably warmer temperature wise too. Yeah.
Yeah, like we're talking like bridges across heaves, not just. Yeah, like you bring a setup that you push over the crack or the heave, drive over it, and then pull that back. Like someone pulls it with their quad, and it's to get over that stuff. So,
dang.
Yeah, I'd have to go with someone who knows it, but it does look pretty sweet down there. So many different species there too. But yeah, they won't be quite ready. But when does the northern season open?
25th is like far north. Yeah, north of Wollaston Lake and.
Oh, so it's still timely enough then for
Athabasca.
the Lakers.
Yeah, and then central you get Gordon Lake and LaRange and LaPlanche, sorry, and Cold Lake and Pierce.
LaPlanche is good numbers, Lake.
White
up in
Swan.
your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's... what do you... Let's do lake trout first and then talk
for
stock.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I think they're just going to be... We say it up north, they're everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. I mean, the water temperature is so cold all through the water column that's not a limiting factor to where they're going to be. Mm-hmm. So I think like wind direction and just food, wind direction blowing bait onto islands, onto reefs, plays a big part on where those lake trout are going to be. Just where the food is. I mean, they could even be chasing suckers up shallow in 3 feet of water up along the shoreline. So
yeah, I definitely had my best luck up there. My first year was by far my best year for Lakers. I think there's, I don't know how many over 40 in the first week. I think it ended up being 6, and maybe in that 39 plus.
Okay.
And I was like trolling Morris.
You're talking at Lac La Marte.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Lac La Marte. I was trolling Morris's channel, but I was up in like the 10 to 12 foot, and you know how that slides off there pretty quick. Like I was focusing more on that, more because I was just trying to map it, and that kind of led me into there. And then it was areas like that. So I kind of focused, like when you get later in the summer, you can target in on deeper areas right near the bottom kind of thing, right? Whereas, like you said, when water temperature is kind of similar everywhere, they could be wherever. And that Morris Channel area is some huge rocks along there too. So that's, I don't know if that really played into it, but that's what I found. Same with Island 11, really rocky area, lots of shallow mixed in there too, and pulled some nice fish off there. So definitely, I mean, we do pluck them in the bays as well.
For sure, yeah.
When fishing for pike.
Fishing, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not like we're going to go get a lake trout in a bay. That's like you're a happy bycatch, right? So I like to focus on that and kind of, would it be fair to say like kind of similar areas to where they are spawning 6 months before that kind of thing, or however many months?
Pretty similar. I'd say I do better more like closer to structure in the spring. So like you were saying, where there's a trench or a sharp drop off or something that they can push bait up onto, is a little, I think is pretty key in my opinion.
Right. And as far as baits go, again, anything, whatever you want to troll.
5 of diamonds.
5 of diamonds, yeah. Big size 5 of diamonds. Yeah. Big size Lenny Thompson. The extra heavies that we got.
Yeah.
That, I love those. Don't have to add
nice.
weight. Especially for early in the spring there. Didn't have to add any weight. Just troll those, yeah.
Yeah, you can flatline them, which is super nice. You don't need any lead.
Yeah.
T60s work great too.
And basically where you do find one, you're going to find a lot, I think.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a one and done for the most part. So I think that kind of covers the trout area there. Like you can have as much fun as you want. Big baits too, right? They're Lakers. They I seem to have even bigger eyes in their stomachs, and their stomachs are pretty big. So
for sure.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good there. We did talk on stock trout as far as fly fishing in the last episode with Colin from Purity. So if you haven't listened to that, definitely give that a listen. But as far as, what did he call it? I called it conventional gear. Did he just call it like what, talking about like conventional fishing gear as opposed to fly fishing gear?
I'm not picking up on what you're thinking of here, actually.
Okay. Well, that's fine. He basically, I was going to say we should talk as well. Like I said, they can check out what to do for trout on the fly. But as far as regular rod and reel,
like conventional spinning
that works.
Tackle.
Okay, yeah. As far as that, I've got a dugout that we have stocked that's spring fed, nice and clear. You can't go wrong with small spoons like Williams wobblers, things like that. We try to stay away from spinners as far as guides go. They work almost too well, so we stay away from those. But yeah,
unless you plan on keeping a limit.
Yeah, unless you're keeping that. There's that. I think it's not really necessary right now, but you can go like the trout dough with a weight before that and let that float up too. But right now they're so shallow in the spring. Cover some water, cast around. You could put a little light crank too that doesn't go down too deep. Like they're up shallow. I saw the fishing geeks have been hammering trout, big triploids at Diefenbaker, some tanks. So yeah, they're in shallow right now and will be for a little bit depending on what the weather does here. I mean, it seems like you still troll trout shallow any time of the year. You can still pick some off. But definitely once you get right into that middle of summer, it does seem to go down a little bit deeper depending on the lake you're in. But yeah, it's pretty quick one on this trout. I don't know do you have anything else for that?
Not too much. I mean, I think for a full detailed set list, I mean, there's a lot of info in that last episode with Colin. So
yeah, the fish are in the same area. It's just how you're fishing from. Yeah, is different, right? So
for sure.
Yeah, no, that's good. Go listen to that episode instead of listening to this one.
That's right.
But yeah, that kind of wraps up the species we were going to talk about, and this actually turned into like twice as long of an episode as we thought it was going to be. So I guess that's what happens when you like to talk fishing. But that's right. Before we wrap things up here, wanted to mention a couple tournaments that are coming up. Like I said at the top of the episode, I just put in my registration for the Buffalo Pound tourney, which is happening in June here. And then I will also be fishing the Riverhurst walleye tournament on Father's Day weekend as well. Kind of sucks. Some of the dates got changed up here as far as the Regina Beach one goes, I believe. And so I think it lined up with Buffalo. I haven't got to fish the Buffalo tournament since before I went guiding, and I want to do it in my boat, fish it with my dad and my cousin. So I will be foregoing the Regina Beach one this year. And if the dates get figured out, maybe in future years do that. But I'll always do the Buffalo one because that's the home waters. And then, yeah, the Riverhurst one. There is the Regina Beach one, obviously, for anyone who's interested in that one. That's a 2-day tournament. The Buffalo one is a 1-day, and the Riverhurst is a 2-day. But I think that one sounds pretty fun from what I've heard. You kind of got a mix of like the father-son, father-daughter teams. Then you've got some more of the hardcore guys too. It just seems like a pretty fun overall event. The Buffalo one was fun the one year I fished it. I think it's I don't know how big the field was, but
Is there still spots open in these tournaments that you know of?
I haven't seen anything that said they're full yet.
Right, so people can still go sign up here.
Yeah, like I paid, my entry was $250 for the Buffalo one, which is $200 for the tournament, $10 each because all three of us are going to supper, so $30 there, and then $20 to enter the big fish pool. So you split that. You can have three people. I guess that's another thing I should say too. You can have three people in the boat with you, which isn't typical for most other tournaments, right? So that was kind of cool too. Pretty fun tournament. Nice little lake for it, and yeah, should be a good time. But what's next for you before we close things out?
What's next for me?
Yeah,
I'm hopefully gonna get the kayak out and get some trout fishing in. I had it out once on opening day on Monday. I took it out to a lake that I was pretty sure wasn't going to contain any fish, but I wanted to see. And sure enough, there was no fish. I think it's just too shallow and winter killed. But yeah, going to focus on some brown trout. Probably Friday, I'm thinking, because the wind is supposed to be real bad for a few days yet. And try to get a fish in with my dad, catch some leeches so that he has a nice supply for the summer. Because I'm taking off here on May 15th or 16th. I'm going to leave to BC, and I'm gone guiding black bears, spot and stock black bears, till June 2nd. And from there, I leave driving all this, by the way, up to Yellowknife, where I'm hopping on a plane June 5th to fly into Lac La Martre to get our guiding season ready up there.
Wow.
Well,
so you got to have all that stuff with you when you leave, basically?
Yeah, my truck's going to be full.
Don't forget your mic and laptop.
Oh yeah. I'll have the podcast
live on location.
yeah. Gonna have to turn the shore lunch room into a little recording studio, I think.
It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Nice quiet
Either that or like Greg's old cabin, like our storage room now.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
Find some goodies in there from the past.
Yeah. I'll just have to get I'll get a little neon sign that says recording in progress so people don't barge in.
Yeah. It'll make them barge in, actually.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it should be a busy couple of weeks, and then I'm gonna be flat out guiding here till August. I won't be back to the farm till August 26th.
No, what about the break?
Well, I think we're staying up.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, we only have a 6-day break, so it's like, what do? You fly people out to be at home for 4 days?
No, you don't.
No,
you go fish for 6 days.
Yeah,
Go have fun. Oh, that's sweet. Busy.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's gonna be good. Hopefully, gonna do more fly fishing up at Lac La Martre, obviously, and I'll maybe be able to do a little bit in BC. So I'm gonna be bringing my 6-weight with me there, and
nice.
I think he's got some lake trout and maybe even some bull trout that come by pretty close to his place. So
sweet.
That's exciting, and yeah, I just did you see I just picked up some new mounts and upgrades for my live scope?
Yeah, I saw you upgraded to Arc Labs pole.
I did, yeah, and I got
nice
their
pole.
new. It is, and their new jaw clamp for the side of tin boats.
No,
I think they just come out with this new design here about like a year ago, or not even a year ago, and
yeah,
just super small, super simple, and yeah,
because I was using a trolling motor mount.
Oh yeah,
and then putting a PVC pipe through it, and it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't easy to move around and fly in or fly out kind of thing. So
a little bulky.
Definitely an upgrade. Yeah, no, that's sweet. I'll be around southern Sask here. Maybe I want to make it out to Deef. I want to put in a good day at Deef this spring, and then if you see me out at Buffalo, Last Mountain, say hi. Be able to see the truck there. Never afraid of a conversation on the water, especially if you're going to tell me where the fish are. But yeah, no, I think we'll be busy here. I have another Scottsdale Bachelor going on in 2 weeks, so that's going to take up a weekend of fishing, and then I'll be back and heading right into to tournaments here. But we'll have some episodes coming out there. We were a week late with this one. We have had some lineups fall through as far as recording some guest episodes. So that kind of leads to a bit of a delay, but we are getting some stuff in the works here, and those will be coming down the line. But I think we're ready to close things out here. So just want to give a big thank you again to 13 Fishing for being a presenting sponsor of the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast. Like I said at the top, you can use the code WKND Warriors, save yourself 15% off the entire website. There's Rapala, there's VMC, unreal hooks. I'm absolutely in love with everything they put out. Definitely ordering too much of that stuff for myself. And then they've got obviously the 13 Fishing rod and reels. I've got 7 beside me right now that don't have reels on them right now. So two of them were my guiding setups. So those will be chilling for a bit right now. But yeah, no, it's exciting times. Like I said, big thank you to 13 Fishing. Yeah. And I guess next time we see Jesse, he'll be you might be home still, but maybe in the woods. We'll see.
I'll probably be in the woods. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Good chance of that. That's where you want to be. But yeah, we appreciate you tuning in to episode 92 of the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast, and we will see you in the next one.